Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking through 10 series I would like to start in 2022. So although my big aim has been to complete series this year, I'm hoping that because I'm in a much better place with my ongoing series than I was when I started 2021. I'm hoping that as I continue to keep that number low, I will be able to start some series, because it feels like it's been so long since I started a series, because I've been so determined to finish series, and now I've got to a point where I'm like, will I ever be able to start a series again? Because it's been so long. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully in 2022 having a bit more of a balance and being able to start some series. So this may end up like my list that I did for 2021, where I read like 4 out of the 10 books that I put on it. This is not a commitment. I am a mood reader. I will follow the mood and probably the buddy reads. But here are some ideas. Here are some things that I really wanted to read as of right now, as of end of November 2021. And we will see if by this time next year, if I read any of these. I really do hope. I've tried to be really realistic with the ones that I put on this list. Obviously, there are so many series that I want to read. I own so many starter series on my physical TBR. So there is definitely a lot more choice on here. But here are some that I have on the sort of my radar to potentially start next year. The first one isn't so much, this one is more of a restart of a series as opposed to starting it fresh, and that is Mistborn Era 2. I really do want to have a bit of a focus on Brandon Sanderson next year, because I've been loving my journey through the Stormlight Archive. I read the first 2 books, and I really do want to keep working on Brandon Sanderson's book and keep working on his backlist. So I never finished Shadows of Self. I've talked about this before. I got 270 pages into a 370 page book and I put it down. So I really do want to restart this series in preparation for the 4th and final book in this series coming out. I believe that's coming out like next November. So hopefully I can reread Alley of Law, reread what I've read of Shadows of Self, read Bands of Morning, and then I'll be prepared for when that 4th book comes out, ready and waiting for it, and I'll be able to be up to date with this series. This will then mean that I can read the Mistborn Secret History. I do also want to reread Elantris and Warbreaker. I have those audiobooks downloaded, ready to go for whenever I want to start them. I do want to reread them. There is also there's quite a few novellas that I haven't read. I do obviously want to continue in the Stormlight Archive, so I feel like it's going to be a year of Brandon Sanderson. I have put a little pause on Skyward as I wait for the 4th book in that series. I think that's coming out in spring of 2023, so maybe I will start rereading that one at the end of the year in preparation for that, but we will see. I just feel like I have a lot of Brandon Sanderson that I really want to read next year. 2022, the year of Brandon Sanderson. And I guess sticking with the really popular big adult fantasy series, and I mean there's so many big adult fantasy series that I have not read. There are so many of them, but there are 2 that I definitely want to give a try to, definitely sooner rather than later. The first one being The Blade Itself, so the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. I have not read any Joe Abercrombie, but I do own the whole of the First Law in a box set, so I really do want to give this a go. I've heard that Joe Abercrombie is Lord Grimdark. I'm a bit not on the fence with this. I feel like it's going to be a coin toss on whether I'm going to like it or not. I could really see it going either way, and I don't know. I feel like it's 50-50. I think I could either absolutely love it, because so many people do absolutely love Joe Abercrombie and his books. So there is a chance that I'm going to really like it, but I'm also like, I don't know if I'm going to really love it. And part of me feels like I find when people talk about Joe Abercrombie, I feel like the Age of Madness, which is like the series, you have this series, then you have the standalones, then you have the Age of Madness, and I feel like when people talk about the Age of Madness, I'm like, that sounds really interesting. Like, that one appeals to me more than the rest of his books, but I know that I can't read The Age of Madness before I read everything else. I will try. And then another one, this one I'm giving the author a second chance, and that is the Liveship Traders series by Robin Hobb. I read Assassin's Apprentice quite a few years ago now, maybe like 2017. I read Assassin's Apprentice and I was okay with it. I was looking back and I gave it like 3 stars. I think it was fine. When I bought it, I was like, Robin Hobb is going to be my thing. I was like, I'm going to love Robin Hobb. I'm going to read all of her books. I was looking at them in the bookshop and I thought, these are beautiful. This was before I'd seen anyone talk about her books on BookTube. I was like, I'm going to be at the beginning. I'm going to be a Robin Hobb superfan. And then I read Assassin's Apprentice and I was not a Robin Hobb superfan, and all my plans to be this Robin Hobb superfan failed at the first hurdle. So because of my like lukewarm feelings on Assassin's Apprentice, I have delayed continuing and reading any more of her books, but I really do think that the Liveship Traders series could be the series for me, because this is multiple perspectives and I feel like the setting is more appealing, the magic's more appealing. I feel like this has a greater chance of being for me. So this is where I'm going with, and I'm going to reattempt Robin Hobb with this series. Some buddy reads that we've talked about, we haven't like set a firm like start date on them, but I have a couple of buddy reads that we've been thinking about, that have been in the works. The first one being for the Greenrider series by Kristen Britton. But well, the Greenrider series, this is a older series, but I think it's still being published. I think there's like 7 books, maybe 8 books. I think it's nearly complete. I think maybe there's one more book to come out, but it was started in like the 90s, so it's been going for a very, very long time. And I've generally heard quite positive things. I've not heard that many people talk about it, but it sounds like one of those books where I think it starts off a bit more YA, but then definitely gets adult as it goes on. Me, Sam and Fish are planning to start this series. We have worked on the Chronicles of Ixia this year by Maria Lee Snyder, and that's been our like big series buddy read that we've been doing. And the Greenrider series is the one that we have proposed to be our series to read in 2022. And hopefully we really like it. If we don't, then we will change plans and go for something else. But that is the one that we have put in as our like idea for now. Another series that I have talked about buddy reading again with Sam is this time with Sam and Joanna is the Memory, Sorrow and Thorn series by Tad Williams. This again is an older series that was started to be published maybe 80s, 90s, a while ago. And I've heard that Tad Williams has been the inspiration for quite a few modern fantasy writers, and that a lot of them have read his works. And I was particularly influenced by Jimmy from the Fantasy Network when we did the discussion on The Forgetting Moon, and he was referencing sort of similarities to the first book in the Memory, Sorrow and Thorn series, the Dragonbone Chair, and I was like, oh, this sounds so good. Sounds so good. So I am a bit more hesitant with these older fantasy series, especially ones written by men, whether I'm going to click with them. So I really do hope that it works for me. I really do hope, but I am a bit more hesitant with it. And if there is anything that doesn't suit me as a reader, then I will definitely say, but I really do hope it works. I hope. And I believe these are very, very long books, but it's a trilogy, but the third book, I pretty much see it as a quartet because I think it's sold separately because the books are so big. Moving on to a couple of sci-fi options, I have The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I read Kindred earlier this year by Octavia Butler, and I really do want to continue reading her books. As this is a duology, I feel like it will be a good, not place to start, but a good other option of Octavia Butler. I do also own Wild Seeds, so that's one of the books in the Pattern Master series, which I think is 4 or 5 books, but this is just a duology, so I feel like it's much more manageable to say I'm going to read this duology. I'm not like 100% on what this is about. I know it's like a dystopian future. I mean, the blurb says here, if there's one thing scarier than a dystopian novel about the future, it is one written in the past that has already begun to come true. So that does make it a bit like nerve-wracking, but I don't know, like, wow. So I really do want to read a lot more Octavia Butler, especially after my experience with Kindred. I really want to see what she did for the sci-fi genre and see her series, and a lot of them sound really interesting to me, so this one. And then speaking of sci-fi duologies, I also would like to give A Memory Called Empire a try by Arcadia Martin. This one again, I'm a little bit like, I don't know if I'm going to love it because I've heard conflicting things on the writing style, that it is quite dense, and sometimes I can struggle with dense sci-fi. As I want to read more sci-fi, if I can read sci-fi duologies, then I can get through quite a lot of sci-fi books by reading the duologies, as opposed to putting on like a big series and then feeling like I'm locked into a big series. Whereas duologies, I feel like that I could easily try out lots of different sci-fi worlds and feel a bit less intimidated by them. Overall, I've heard generally very positive things about this. And then a few other sort of ideas of series that I would like to start. I have The Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. This whole trilogy, I've heard a lot of talk from Elliot Brooks about this series. She has absolutely loved it, along with my friend Joanna Souza and Kirsty from Kirsty Reads. they have all really liked it. Oh, as well, Sam at Griffiths, like, she's loved it as well. So a lot of people, I really love this series and I really want to give it a try. I did hope to read it with my friend Angela from Literature Science. She's been doing a buddy read for it from October through to December. It didn't happen. So I do really hope to read this. I do hope to read this. I do. I'm sorry, Angela. I really hoped to get to it with you, but I didn't. I just feel like this is going to be for me. I feel like it's a fantasy, but with like other elements, like different genres thrown in there, and it's all like a genre blending series. Another one that I really feel like I'm going to like, and I felt like I'm going to like this series for a very long time, is the Daughter of the Forest series by Juliette Marillier. So I've read one Juliette Marillier book, but she has so many of them out, and I feel like I am going to love everything she's written. I do own another book of hers. I do own Dreamer's Pool as well. I think I would prioritise Daughter of the Forest, but I do want to read like everything she's written. So just Juliette Marillier as an author and a series by her I would like to read in 2022. I think she's going to be for me. I just sense I'm going to love this, and I feel like I'm going to love this, and I really love these new covers that they've done. I sense it. I sense that she's just going to combine like the fantasy with this sort of like fairy tale-esque. I liked her writing style in the book that I read, so why have I not read this? The final book that I'm putting on this list is The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell. Again, there was a buddy read for this earlier this year and I hoped to get to it and I didn't. So here we go. The Warlord Chronicles. This is a trilogy focused around King Arthur. I have loved Merlin, the TV show, which I just loved it. I rewatched it earlier this year with some friends. I love that TV show. So I feel like I do want to have more King Arthur and Merlin in my life, and I've heard this is quite a realistic, sort of brutal version of the events. I've heard such amazing things about Bernard Cornwell. I've not read any of his books. I know he has the, is it the Last Kingdom series? He's got quite a few other series, but they're a bit more expansive. So I feel like starting with this as a trilogy is a bit more realistic, as it's a trilogy. So it's not like as expansive as that 12-book series. I literally was at a dinner the other day, and the guy opposite me was saying that he's not much of a reader, but he loves Bernard Cornwell. Like every time Bernard Cornwell has a book out, he goes and buys it straight away, and he was raving about Bernard Cornwell. And I was like, oh, okay. Hopefully I have the experience, well, the same experience as that guy, except I will be buying a lot of other books and not just Bernard Cornwell books. But I do really hope to enjoy this. So those are 10 potential series for me to start in 2022. I have tried to focus on series that are complete, as opposed to series that have just been started and first books in series. That what I really do hope to do is that if I am starting a series, it is a complete series, and then I can just binge it and read the whole thing. And then I'm not ending up with lots and lots of incomplete series on my list that I feel as though I'm constantly having to keep up to date with as more and more books come out in that series. Whereas this way, I can start a series, binge it, read the whole thing, and I feel like that's going to increase my enjoyment of the series, and it's just going to keep my number of ongoing series numbers down. That is what I've tried to prioritize when thinking about series I want to start. Obviously, this is not an exclusive list. I am a mood reader. This is just what my mood is saying right now. Who knows what it's going to be saying in July 2022? Who knows? Whatever the mood says. So, and I have noticed that a lot of this is very fantasy heavy. That I have put 2 sci-fi books on here, but I do still want to continue reading more and more sci-fi. I haven't put any fantasy romance on this list, really. I mean, maybe Daughter of the Forest, but I haven't put a fantasy romance on here, and I do definitely really enjoy reading fantasy romance, so maybe one of them as well would be an option. There isn't really any YA on here, it's all adult, and as well, like, there is books from the series that I put on my 2021 list that I haven't read. Like, I haven't read the Black Prism series, but I still definitely want to give it a try to, the Lies of Locke Lamora. So I mean, this is definitely not an exclusive list. It's definitely not. It's just a few options and ideas and potential for things that I could be working on in the next year. Let me know what you would like me to prioritize, if any of these are your favorite series, or if you would like to hear my thoughts on them before you pick them up. So, and let me know what series you are prioritizing for next year. If there are any series that you were really keen to read, or if you wanted me to host like a buddy read for any of these series. If you wanted them to be like a group read, then let me know. I am more than happy to do any of those sorts of things. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!